Folk Me Softly is the musical endeavor of Jenny Darling, a flaming red-haired multi-instrumentalist living in the Green Mountains of southern Vermont. A classically trained violinist at the age of 6, Jenny is a genre-bending, self-taught picker that fell in love with mountain music as a young green bean. At the start of her music career, she joined her pastor at church in his Bluegrass ensemble playing dulcimer and auto-harp. Jenny's musical influences have historically been diverse, with influences ranging from jazz, blues, indie rock, bluegrass, funk, and soul. Following the birth of her daughter, Jenny has spent the past decade fully immersed in the folk and roots community. The hypnotic rhythm of her anthems evoke an array of emotions. You'll feel your heart flutter and race as you hum along to her choruses. Audiences reminisce of that exhilarating rush from chasing a new romance and instantly re-experience the forlorn rejection of a crush just out of reach. Listen closely to her lyrics and you'll cringe from the subtle pangs of loneliness or the burning ache of grief in your chest as she croons about the stunning and beautiful devastation of love lost. Jenny Darling's idyllic narratives superbly reach deep into those tender places that feel so out of reach and gently soothes and comforts the soul. Her catalog should come with a warning label. Do not listen if you don't like feeling everything. The melodies of Folk Me Softly adeptly stir up deep emotions. As a live act, Jenny has an innate talent for silencing the room, holding her audience wrapped with her playful, lyrical storytelling and relatable themes of love and loss. Welcome to the New Music Alliance Radio Hour. I'm Mark Ramone, joined today with Vermont musician, singer-songwriter, Folk Me Softly, also known as Jenny Darling. Hello, Jenny.
Hey, Mark. How are you?
Great to have you here on the show.
Thanks for having me.
We just played your song, Lost Waltz, and I was blown away. And I think everybody is going to be responding and saying pretty much the same thing I'm thinking. Wow.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you.
That was off your first solo album, In Wonder. Did you write the lyrics and music all yourself, or did you collaborate with others?
That one was all me. Actually, the entire record In Wonder is just me. I do love the collaborative process, though, for sure. There's something really magical about working with other musicians, definitely. But In Wonder is just me, sitting in a cabin in the woods of southern Vermont.
Wow.
Most of it written during winter, COVID winter. So if that paints any more of a picture for you, yeah.
I remember at the start of COVID, and I was thinking, wow, all the musicians out there, they must be like, thinking this is a great time to hunker down and start writing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I said something to that effect at the start of COVID on social media. It was ad-libbing what I said originally, but it was to the effect of, as much as this really sucks, brace yourselves, because coming out of this, we're going to have some of the best art that the world has seen in a very long time coming out of this. And I do feel like some of the things that I've been seeing come out of other musicians are just outstanding.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. It seems like many solo artists are going under a band name for their performance persona. I can think off the top of my head, like Five for Fighting is really just one guy. The Weeknd, Bright Eyes, Fruit Bats are a few examples. Why are you going as Folk Me Softly when you're performing, as your persona?
Well, it started as a social media joke, but when I was, it was just sort of a play on words. But there was one night that when COVID first hit, that Madison Ward was actually, without Mama Bear, just Madison Ward was on Instagram doing a live collaborative songwriting process, and I jumped in on that and got full body tingles when he looked at me joining, and I threw a lyric at him, and he not only loved the line, but he chuckled and said, "Folk Me Softly." No, that's great. And I was like, you may be onto something there, Madison Ward. Not just handsome and super talented, but I think you just helped me figure out what my moniker is going to be. So it's just nice to have something a little playful and fun.
Mm-hmm.
I do prefer soft folk music, but I'll stomp my boots if you want me to. I mean, my tastes
Very
are
cool.
pretty diverse, but there are few things greater than just kind of sitting with a cup of tea in the middle of winter by the fire and listening to, you know, Ray LaMontagne or
Yes.
pretty much anybody that's just really beautiful soft folk music. So that's how that was born.
Ray LaMontagne, who's also from Western New England or living in Western New England.
The best
Not
place
too,
in the world.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Especially coming up, it's almost fall.
I know. I could never live anywhere else. I would miss fall and winter so much. I mean, I'm kind of the opposite of everyone else. Summer's probably my least favorite season. I enjoy it, but I come alive at winter. That's when you find me outside and playing, and
Do
it's winter's my jam for sure.
you like making the snow angels and snowball fights?
All the time. Yeah, I
Oh,
don't think I ever outgrew that. Igloos.
I love it.
Yeah.
Based on your song Lost Waltz, you seem like a romantic. You sing about getting lost in the gaze of a lover and feeling like you're waltzing in a field. Do you consider yourself a romantic?
Oh gosh, what gave me away? Yeah, I really do. I think I was probably a closeted romantic for my whole life until a few years ago when I met my person and I really fell in love for real, and that sort of changed everything.
Hmm.
And it was then that I kind of realized that I was sort of groomed by the men that I engaged with in my 20s to sort of suppress that side of me, and just have this tougher exterior and, the stone cold fox persona. Um, but there was another element of that too, where I've always, known what my person was going to be like,
Hmm.
and never really wanted to share that aspect of me with anyone else, for two reasons: not to lead them on, but also to not really put myself in a situation I couldn't get out of. I wanted it to be authentic, and I didn't really ever feel it authentically. I always had those emotions and the fantasies and the images in my head, but it wasn't until I met my person and fell in love with him that suddenly there was a safe space created for that authenticity to come out, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
He's very much my match in that regard, in the sentimental and sweet and romantic. And so, at first it was funny because I kind of grossed myself out with how disgustingly cheesy I could be at times. But it was wonderful because he always responded with humor and was really good natured about it. And I would say probably ate it up a little bit. So suddenly, that circumstance and the environment changed, and I felt safe to let that side of me out. And there's really no going back once you let that beast out. Um, you know,
You don't think you're going
romantic
to
Jenny is.
become you don't think you're going to become jaded over time as the romance fades away?
Oh, I guess
At least
no.
in your writing style, maybe.
I don't think the romance. I don't get the idea that the romance and the sweetness and the sentiment ever will fade away. That's just kind of my gut feeling about the love that I have. I really don't ever see that going away. It's kind of like perpetual honeymoon
Oh,
phase, which is so wonderful, and I'm just so grateful to say that I for a long time, I knew he was out there, but I didn't actually know if I would ever find him or if I would ever feel this way. Um, but it's so much more than what I ever thought it would be, and it's really changed the way that I think and feel and create my art. He once told me early on in the beginning, falling in love, it makes mountains prettier and coffee tastes sweeter, and that's true. It's funny because I realized one day when I was cleaning the toilet that really being in love, like truly being in love with someone, can make even cleaning the toilet feel sacred, because suddenly it wasn't just cleaning the toilet and a chore. It was, I'm cleaning this toilet so that my lover can have a safe place to empty his bladder. And it's like ridiculous, but it really does. That's what it really does. When you really find that and you have that feeling and you hold on to it, it can make even the most mundane everyday things feel sacred and beautiful. So.
mm. Hold on to that feeling and keep writing beautiful songs.
Oh, thanks, Mark. I appreciate that.
Your lyrics evoke vivid images. I now want to waltz in a field
Good.
among other things.
Oh,
Are
good.
your songs mostly based on experiences or fantasies in your mind?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, I would say a little bit of both. The songs that I wrote prior to meeting my person were very much fantasy. Absolutely. I think actually that was the only outlet that I had at the time to even let out the romantic, cheesy side of me, was through those songs. But there was nothing about them that was based in reality at the time. Everything I've written the last 3 years is a mixture of real experiences that I've had out of this, and also experiences that I would like to have in the future going forward, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
You know, there is an element of, slow dancing in the kitchen, and walking through fields slowly holding hands, and that very much happens in real life. Have we put them together yet and actually slow danced in the field? Not quite, but working on it. I'm working on it. Give me time. I'll get in there. Um, it's so much more based in reality now, I would say, than it was prior to 3 years ago, definitely. But it falling in love also makes you dream differently. It's pretty amazing. I kind of laughed at the whole concept of magic before experiencing love.
Hmm.
Um, but it has made me a believer in magic and so many other things that I sort of snubbed my nose to before. So,
Your bio notes the many feelings that your music evokes in people. Do your fans share their stories with you, like
oh my
through
gosh.
social media, or seeing you perform?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. And I have to say that that is one of two of my favorite parts about being a songwriter and a musician, for sure. Um, Being approached by someone and told that they can relate to anything I've written in any way is one of the most rewarding feelings in the entire
Hmm.
world. I mean, sometimes I get so emotional and choked up when, a fan comes up to me and really likes my music and shares their own experience. That's exactly why I write music instead of singing other people's. Um, and I'm the type of artist that if I haven't, recorded it yet, but you love it and you just heard me play it live, I'll come over and sing it in your living room and you can record it and take it with you. I don't do this for the money at all. I do this for the connection and the sharing and the relating, because to me that's the most beautiful healing part of music. So that's the one thing that I really, really love, or the first thing I should say about writing music and playing it for others, is being approached and sharing in that, and I've met friends that way. It's just a wonderful way to connect. I would say that the other, it's like church to me personally. My favorite thing, I think hands down, my favorite feeling on stage is looking out and seeing someone dancing.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we have all of this different scientific evidence to, prove why dancing is healing and good for us scientifically. But even beyond that, I've always felt like when we dance, we're light on our feet, we're moving our body, for a moment, we're sucked out of the problems of the world, and we're moving to something because it compels us to. The rhythm makes us move, and that's so cool. And we have so many issues with this world right now. I feel like, I'm not going to run for president. I'm probably not like smart enough to cure cancer. But I feel like every single person has some sort of responsibility in saving the world. So this might be a stretch for some people to hear, but to me, if I can just make one person dance in a whole set, it feels like just doing my bit to help somebody who will then in turn hopefully go help somebody else. And it feels like if we could all just do something like that for each other, the world might be a better place.
Absolutely. If we all just did our part, this world would be a better place. And music is a great bond between, bringing the community together. So you are definitely doing your part.
Definitely. There's a funny story, actually. I was playing my first show with Thirsty Bear years ago, and I looked out and I saw this couple get up and start dancing with each other. And I got so excited that I actually forgot to play my guitar for a hot second because I was standing on stage with this, poop eating grin on my face, sort of looking out at these people who were just looking into each other's eyes dancing, and they were lost in my moment and I got lost in their moment, and it was like, oh shoot, okay, well, if I stop playing, then they're going to stop dancing. So I kind of had to catch myself really quick, but I got
That's
so
cute.
excited. I just totally forgot what I was and where I was doing for a while.
You mentioned in your bio that your best friend is your Gibson Irish tenor guitar. Have you
Oh, for
have you
sure.
have you given this a name?
Yes, her name is Hope.
Hope. What a
Yeah,
beautiful.
she's got a story behind her for sure. Um,
Please share.
I would love to. So it's gonna sound like a sad story, but it has a really, really happy ending. Well, it's not an ending because it's an ongoing story, of course. I'm still alive, but a few years ago, uh, one of the gentlemen that I worked with in Thirsty Bear, Brent Haviland, super, super talented singer-songwriter. It was the day before the night before Christmas, kind of late in the evening, and he had been drinking. He'd had a couple to drink, and I had not, and I was driving him home, and we were hit head on at a very fast speed by a very, very, very drunk individual. And we were both injured in that accident. So that kind of, we got banged up a little bit through that, and we're both okay, thank goodness.
Good.
But the doctors for a while were not, my doctors were not sure if I was ever going to be able to perform on stage again. There were
Wow.
some issues with a couple of things in my spine, and holding my sixth string on stage was a bit too heavy and would cause me to get sick. I tried to play a couple of shows with my sixth string, and it just wasn't it wasn't my best performance. So, there was a few months where it was kind of, my hands were up in the air and I was going, well, what do I do? I'm not going to let this person take away my life's blood, my joy, my livelihood, which is my music and my ability to share it with others. And then a friend recommended that I try a tenor guitar. So I ordered a custom Ashberry AT204 from this great guy over in England, and I had it and I loved it. I play the banjo, so it was a seamless transition because the tenor
Ah,
guitar and the banjo I played the same. And I had it for a few months and I was playing it and I absolutely loving it, and I was starting to perform again, and it was great until my Ashberry was stolen. I had it for about 3 months and it was stolen.
no.
Yeah. So at that point, I'm going, am I cursed? I mean, it seems like every single obstacle between me and performing live that could possibly arise is popping up. And I started to feel extremely defeated. And one day I was on my couch and I was like, no, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm not gonna lose hope. And so I went on Reverb, and this was when COVID first started, and every musician in the world was desperately, not gigging and desperately trying to get rid of the gear that they loved the least. And I found this Gibson, absolutely beautiful Gibson guitar, and I picked her up, and I've had her for about a year and a half, and I have not lost hope. So
Wow.
yeah, I love
And,
her.
and and you're not having any difficulty playing her?
Not at all. No.
Oh,
In
that's
fact,
great.
an unexpected benefit that I found was the lighter kind of twangy sound of the Gibson was an unexpected benefit to, I have a pretty deep alto. So the way that they kind of meld together is really fun, and something that I really didn't expect, because at first it started as like, if I want to keep playing, this is what I have to play. But then it turned into, oh my gosh, if I could play anything in the world, this is what I would play. I'm
Oh,
really grateful for that.
that's wonderful. You're inspirational and wow. Um, you said you were in the band Thirsty Bear. How long were you doing that?
Few years. We're our such great guys, absolutely awesome dudes. So fun to work with. We recorded our album Bandcamp style, so we stayed at the studio for 5 days and 5 nights. We worked over at Edie Road Studios with Mark Fuller, who's just an outstanding engineer and a pretty awesome drummer too, um, and just a stellar guy. So we recorded our album, and we were about 3 vocal tracks short of being done when the accident happened, which was pretty upsetting to everyone. So that we played a few shows after that, but Brent and I were really, it was too soon, I think, after the accident. So we went on hiatus, and the hiatus turned out to be, I think, a little bit longer than any of us had really hoped for or anticipated. But I spoke to Brent recently, and we are still going to release that album at some point, probably just a free thing. because it's such a beautiful record. I'm so proud of what we did on that record. It's an absolute gorgeous work of art. So,
We'll have
but the
to
accident
play one of
unfortunately
the
kind of.
songs.
What's that?
We'll have to play one of the songs when you do release it.
Oh yeah, you can actually find a couple of them on YouTube. Actually,
Oh,
if
cool.
you look up Thirsty Bear, we've got a single up there, and then we've got quite a few live pieces that we've done, and a music video or two of songs that we haven't formally released, but just wanted to do for the hell of it. So
And what kind of music genre style?
I would definitely call it bluegrass. I mean, we have a banjo player and an upright bassist, so not to lump us into any sort of stereotype, but
It's
we
music.
definitely, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of whiskey involved in the making of our record. We actually gave Jameson a shout out on our record. So I would definitely say that we're more bluegrass than anything else.
Cool. I'm looking forward to checking it out. You were at the Green River Festival. Did you
Yes.
walk away being impressed by anybody that you
Oh my
hadn't seen
gosh.
before?
Oh, you're asking the hard ones, Mark. Yeah, I mean, everyone there was really, really awesome. I am a longtime Deer Tick fan, so they're actually what got me to the festival. I mean, I loved the whole lineup, but if there was no one else playing that I knew, I still would have gone for Deer Tick. They were just so awesome. Watching the sunset during their set Friday night was really, really special.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to pick a favorite that blew me away,
Like,
I'm a huge Valerie June fangirl, and I have been for a while.
mhm.
I was so excited when I saw that she was playing at Green River. I mean, the whole lineup was great, but there was a moment during Valerie June's set when she covered Wonderful World, and I I think that was probably the happiest 4 or 5 minutes of the entire festival for me.
Aw.
I spent most of it with my eyes closed, just kind of soaking up the music. But at one point, I looked up and the sun was setting, and there was some pink clouds in the sky and some birds flying by. And I just, especially what everyone has been navigating since COVID started, I think everyone in some way has been feeling kind of heavy and burdened and isolated. And to be with people again was so special in that place with those good people, and listening to her sing that song with the sky, the way that it was just absolutely, transcendent for me. I think that was probably the top moment of that weekend for me.
If you could collaborate with anybody on your next song, who would it be?
Oh my gosh, another hard one. How do you pick just one? Well, if he's listening, Taylor Meyer from camp, I would really love to work with you.
No way.
I would love to work with you, Taylor Meyer. He is. I'm a huge camp fan. His music and his songwriting is so excellent. And again, Taylor, if you're listening, I have all of the harmonies memorized to your songs, but I would love to write something new too. I'm open to whatever. So yeah, Taylor's great. But honestly, if I could collaborate with anyone in the world, he's unfortunately passed away. He's one of two celebrity deaths I've cried at. David Bowie being the first, but Charles Bradley is one of my heroes.
Yes.
He's one of my heroes, and he's one of my biggest influences. His story alone is enough to be inspiring, and his talent is just, I can't listen to him and not feel everything. Charles Bradley's awesome. But yeah, there's so many good ones out there.
I remember seeing him perform with Sharon Jones shortly before she passed.
Another terrible loss. Yeah.
Yes, both of those hit me. And yeah, Charles Bradley, amazing. He puts so much emotion into his voice. It's like you can't walk away without a tear in your eye.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's so great. I was really sad, especially since I was going to see him. I had not seen him live, and I was scheduled to see him like a month or two later. And he was like number 2 or 3 on my bucket list of, who I wanted to see. And Yeah, when we lost him, it was just I was so gutted.
So let's play a quick game so we can wrap up this interview, okay?
Sure.
A game called Lyrical Ponderings. I'm going to give you
Okay.
the name of a song that is in the form of a question. You can either tell me who sang the song or you can answer the question. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Pick a number between 1 and 200.
22.
22. Wouldn't it be nice?
If we were older, then we wouldn't have to wait so long. Yeah. Oh
You know
my
who's-
gosh. I saw Brian Wilson a few years ago with Jeff Beck at the Palace, and
Really?
that was an ecstatic, joyful experience I'll never forget for as long as I live.
That's an interesting combo.
Yeah, Beach Boys are one of my biggest influences, I would say. Their harmonies are where I draw a lot of my inspiration. I grew up harmonizing with Simon and Garfunkel and Beach Boys and the Beatles and Johnny Cash and
Wow.
Waylon. So that was, what I grew up on and where I learned to harmonize. So, and that's actually also how I've taught my daughter to harmonize, is with those incredible influences. So I could talk Beach Boys with you all day long. I mean, we could argue about Pet Sounds, but we're running out of time.
We are. All right. Jenny, we'll have to save this for round number 2 someday when you're out performing. Are you performing anywhere publicly this summer?
So I was, but right now I'm on a little bit of hiatus to finish my record.
There you go.
And then I'm planning some tour dates for the winter because, like I said, I come alive at winter time. So hopefully going to have the record done by December, and then I'll be out and be able to release it. And yeah, thank you so much for having me today, Mark. This is
Thank
so fun.
you. And people can find you on social media at Folk Me Softly.
That's correct.
Awesome. Jenny, thank you so much for taking some time and chatting with me today.
Thank you, Mark.